It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time to talk college football now with CBS Sports national college football writer, Shehan Jeyarajah. Shehan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I am curious, as you look at the Big 12, we've been doing a spring football tour. We've been talking to people who cover the different teams, and you probably read what a lot of people are writing out there, both nationally or locally or regionally. Anybody that people are way too high on? Anybody that people way too low on? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. I think that there's a clear, for me at least, top two in Texas Tech and BYU in whatever order that you want. But really, I mean, after that, like, it is a total crapshoot, right? For me, when I look at the Vegas odds, for example, I mean, Kansas State is ranked up there as the number 4 or number 5 team in Big 12 title odds. And while I think that they have a chance to be pretty good under first-year coach Colin Klein, that's a lot of expectation for a team that replaces a whole lot on the defensive side of the ball and at wide receiver. So that's a team that I probably would consider myself a little bit lower on than what the consensus seems to be. You know, Oklahoma State on the other side of things, right? I mean, they're obviously a team that went 1-11 last year, but they imported the entire offense from North Texas. They did a really good job of identifying trench talent in the transfer portal. This is a team that I absolutely could see pushing into the 8 or 9 win range. And if some things break right for them, maybe crashing the Big 12 title game.
Just go generally. You've already mentioned 3 teams there with the ones you just mentioned, obviously, with the BYU and Texas Tech leading. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But who do you think has an opportunity to get to go at least minimally 6-3 in the conference? Because if you go 6-3, more than likely, it's not like you're going to go into November and win 4 games. So you're not going to be basically where I'm getting at was when you get into the first week in November, you probably are in contention if you end up 6-3. Even if you in 6-3 probably wouldn't get you to the title game. We understand that. But my thought being, if you have an opportunity to get to 6 wins in November, you probably have maybe an opportunity to get to 7 or 8, which could put you in contention. So just use 6-3 as a baseline. The teams that you think can go minimally 6-3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Oklahoma State, like I mentioned, if some things break right for them, could be in that conversation. I think that a very undervalued team right now, too, is TCU. TCU, of course, loses their quarterback, Josh Hoover, to Indiana, but they felt like they did a really good job of replacing him, bringing in Harvard transfer Jaden Craig. Jaden Craig is somebody who's been on NFL radars before. He does a great job. One thing that the staff will point to, too, is that he takes good care of the ball, which has been an issue the past couple of years at TCU. And they hope that the addition of offensive coordinator Gordon Samus can help revitalize a running game that really has been one of the most fundamental issues for TCU these past couple of years. So their team, I think, can certainly get into 6-3 range. I think that Utah, with the way that their schedule lines up, it's a pretty realistic possibility that they could be in the 6-3, 7-2 range as well. Now, of course, they replace a lot from their 2025 team, especially along the offensive line. And it's a new first-year head coach in Morgan Scalley. But I think that that's a team that certainly has the ability to be at 6-3. And look, I mean, there are multiple other teams that I think have a chance to crash the conversation. Arizona certainly is one that I think, that they finished with 9 wins last year. Houston, outside of the top 2, might be the team that most people are highest on in the Big 12. And I've heard talking to people that the addition of running back Mekhi Hughes is something that people are really undervaluing. This is a player who rushed for more than 1,400 yards in his first 2 seasons before kind of falling out of the rotation at Oregon. They feel like he is back and ready to go at Houston. So that's a team that, again, not only can they get to 6-3, I think that they can absolutely push 10 wins and a Big 12 title game appearance.
There were 6 teams that made it to 6-3 last year. Houston was one of them. Of the other 5, they only played 2 of them, Texas Tech and Utah. They miss out on all the other schools. And Texas Tech they might get without an established quarterback. I mean, we thought Tech had 2, but if Sorsby's suspended, which I think he will be, and if Hammond isn't healthy, it seems like he might be his first game back, so maybe he'll be there. I mean, in these big leagues, sometimes teams catch a break. Like Houston, you're catching a break here. Can you cash in on it?
No, absolutely. And schedule with these 16-team conferences, like you mentioned, is kind of everything. And in fact, for example, even without Brendan Sorsby in the lineup, it's why I still have Texas Tech pretty easily making it back to the Big 12 title game. They don't play either of the Utah schools this year. So I think that again, with Houston, like you mentioned, that's a prime opportunity for them to steal a game in week 3. It's also, by the way, a Friday game. It's also a game that, by the way, Texas Tech actually kind of complained about it being so early because they play Oregon State very late in week 2 and have to travel back. So it's kind of a short week for them, whereas Houston gets a pretty good tune-up opportunity. Will Hammond should probably be back for that game, but there's a pretty good chance that it's his first start at Texas Tech as the full-time starter. So a lot, I think, lines up well for Houston in that spot. And look, their schedule this year, Houston's, is more difficult than it was in 2025. They managed to get to 10 wins last year. And look, I think that they were probably a little bit less than a 10-win quality team. This year, I think that with the additions that they've made, with the experience that they bring back, second-year starting quarterback, second-year defensive coordinator, really good offensive line, like this is a year where they're going to have a team that's of the quality of pushing for 10 or 11 wins.
See, now I thought that if Cody Campbell and McGuire were really serious about Texas, they should say, okay, here's the deal. We're so good. We'll play Houston on that Friday, and then Saturday we'll go to Austin and play you there.
Well, listen. I think that this is a prime opportunity for Texas Tech to put itself back in the headlines, right? With everything that's gone on with their conversations with the University of Texas. And look, as somebody down here in the state, people are talking about it. Texas fans obviously are not happy with the way the narrative is kind of headed. Of course, Joey McGuire challenging them to reschedule their games in week 1. And they're trying to find sort of technicalities like, oh, well, you wouldn't come down to Austin. You wouldn't cancel this or that game. You wouldn't buy out Ohio State, whatever else. I think it's been great offseason content. But yes, I don't think that they're going to play in consecutive days.
That kind of reminds me, though, knowing that Texas isn't going to do it, the guy who charges the mound, but he does it really slow so a bunch of his teammates can get in the way, or, in basketball, hold me back, when I really want no part of the guy who I want them to hold me back. I know Texas Tech wants a part of it, but the point I'm making is they're saying these outlandish things knowing that it's probably not going to happen anyway, so that makes them look good, and it sort of makes Texas look bad.
No, I mean, I had a friend who went to Texas who texted me and was like, this is so clearly just a PR stunt. And I'm like, heck yeah, it is. Like, right. It is working. It's getting everybody talking. It's showing Texas Tech is a program that wants to not be scared and wants to play, and they're calling Texas scared. And by the way, yes, for one, I mean, I think Texas would beat them this year. Let's be clear about that, right? Especially without Brendan Sorsby in the lineup. I think Texas has a better team. I think Texas has a really good case to be number 1 in the country heading into the year. But it's not really about that, right? It's more about saying, we're going to stand up. We're going to fight for ourselves. We're happy to be in your head. And again, I think that Joey McGuire, even like everybody has paid attention in these last 2 years with Texas Tech obviously elevating themselves to a national power. But he has been loud, he's been vocal, he has fought for Texas Tech since he got there in fall of 2021. I give him a lot of credit. I think that he understood something about the Texas Tech fan base that I don't even think that they understood themselves.
You mentioned Oklahoma State turning things around. The rest of the bottom of the league, should Utah and BYU and whoever else be looking at Baylor and Kansas coming off 3-win seasons, Central Florida and West Virginia coming off 2-win seasons, Colorado a 1-win season. Should they just look at them as easy targets, and this is where you pick up the doubles and make sure you're bowl eligible and get yourself in the hunt? Or can any of those teams turn it around?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, look, there are going to be a few teams that I think will be at the bottom of the conference. I'm not very high on Colorado, to be frank. Iowa State just replaces so much, though I think that Jimmy Rogers is a really good coach. I think, maybe by the end of the year, they could have some stuff figured out. But like almost anybody else in the conference has a pathway to some interesting stuff, right? You mentioned Baylor coming in, DJ Lagway, the former number 3 overall recruits in the class of 2024. They're really excited about what he's brought. And they also, by the way, bring in Joel Klanderman at defensive coordinator, who did a great job at Kansas State over the course of multiple years. So Baylor's a team that absolutely could pop up. Cincinnati, obviously, they lose Brendan Sorsby to Texas Tech, and obviously not a suspension, but they have one of the best offensive lines in the Big 12 that nobody's talking about. They have multiple players who have a chance to be all Big 12 or even maybe all America selection. So don't be surprised if they also overperform. I mean, when you look at the Big 12 right now, this is a league that top to bottom is just so tough. I mean, the gap between let's call it the 5th best team and the 13th best team is smaller than just about any conference in college athletics. So, look, I think BYU especially, they should maybe be half a step ahead of the field. Utah, maybe, a quarter of a step ahead of the field. But like any given week, any given time, like these are teams that absolutely have the ability to jump up and bite at your ankles.
How do you think Nick Saban's message in the hearing was received?
It's interesting, right? I was having some conversation with sources the past couple of days, and one thing that kind of keeps coming up is like, man, like Nick Saban brings so much credibility. That's the reason that he's involved in all these conversations. But this is a coach who really has hardly even coached in the NIL era and doesn't even necessarily know what's going on in modern college football. I think that, certainly, again, like every senator, every staff member is thrilled to get to take their photo with Nick Saban after the hearings. But like, you look at the people who are talking at these hearings and no shade to them, but like they aren't really the people who are all that invested or maybe even able to fix a lot of what's wrong with college athletics. I mean, I know there was a representative player from the University of Utah, but like it's just a different type of deal to have, a really good player come and speak on behalf of student athletes compared to like Arch Manning going and speaking on behalf of athletes, or some of like, the people who are most impacted by these dynamics. Trinidad Chambliss, for example. Like, that's what I think makes it very difficult whenever you hear these hearings as somebody who covers college athletics, is that you're just not really talking at this point to the primary stakeholders. The primary stakeholders at this point are the big-time coaches, our general managers, our big-time players who are commanding a lot of money, especially in the transfer portal. And also, I think that you have to start looking at collectives. I think you have to start looking at these multimedia rights partners that have done a huge amount to try to build contracts and help programs pay out more money to their athletes through NIL deals. Like, these are the people who actually run college football right now, and none of those people at this point are on the stands.
If they do something that really flattens the odds, makes things more competitive, which is what baseball's talking about, pro sport, not college, I think that's going to irritate the schools that have had all sorts of financial and institutional advantages for decades, if not a century. But if they don't do that, it's going to irritate a lot of schools that incorrectly or correctly view themselves as up-and-comers. I don't see how they're going to please everybody. Somebody's going to scream foul. People are always trying to get around the rules. That's the only constant in college sports for the last 100 years. I realize people think that there could be some answer out there and the federal government could give it. I think they're moving the bag back. There's just going to be whatever they decide, there's going to be a beef about that after they decide it, and I wonder how much is going to be set in stone if they decide something.
Well, I think that you only have to look as far as look at who has come out against this new bill, and it's the Big Ten and the SEC, right? So like you said, there's kind of two visions for college football right now and college athletics. One is one that ends up being more egalitarian, that tries to even the field a little bit, to make the sport more competitive top to bottom. And the other side of it is one that empowers the people who make the most money. right now we're in that latter era. And look, I mean, the SEC and Big Ten, especially SEC schools, by the way, are trying to make the case like, no, we want to fix this system. We want to make things, not as disparate. We want to end the arms race, all this sort of stuff. But like the irony of it, right, is that especially let's for a second take a look at SEC schools outside of Texas and Texas A&M, right? A lot of them financially can't compete with Big Ten schools because you look across the Deep South, there isn't necessarily that level of money that you find in Chicago, in Milwaukee, in Madison, in these big metros, right? Like the South is a local group. The North is filled with big time metros. And so the SEC, especially those middle tier schools, are trying to crack this balance of let's try to pull down the Big Ten schools, but let's not ruin our advantage that we have against everybody else. So like you said, we're running into these existential issues where we talk about the idea of you're ultimately going to screw over somebody in the process, and everybody is trying to avoid it being them.
Utah has been in the news with this private equity thing, and then the thing came out. The Tribune had and others picked it up on the possibility of layoffs coming up at the end of the month, and the folks will have to reapply for their jobs and reduction in force and all that. And it's been out there nationally now. What do you think the national perception of it is?
Well, I think the short of it is, like, this is what people were concerned about when Utah entered into a private equity agreement, right? Is that private equity's job is to lower costs as much as possible and maximize profit as much as possible. And there's a lot of stuff that exists in college athletic departments that isn't just supposed to exist for the reason of making as much money as possible, right? I mean, even if you want to get into the idea of non-revenue sports, right? Like they've historically existed as a way to maximize student opportunity and do sort of more of a social good than necessarily just make as much money as possible. And so this is kind of that first step with the reduction of force stuff. Again, what we'll kind of be curious to see what ultimately gets cut, what staffers get cut. And this isn't unique, right? So whenever Trev Alberts took over at Texas A&M, he did a massive reduction of force. He said that the athletic department was too bloated. That wasn't pushed by an outside group. That was pushed by a new athletic director coming in. But again, this is sort of the thing that everybody worries about and warns about, is that private equity is not going to be precious with a lot of what you already have there. And you just have to understand that you're letting that in when you make those partnerships.
To me, the question here in the short run is, are they going to eliminate 20 jobs in the athletic department but create 20 jobs over in this new entity, or are they going to eliminate 25 jobs in the athletic department and create 10 over here in the new entity? And they're saying people will be allowed to reapply for essentially their new job in this new business. Good luck with that. I think a lot of people have been out there looking for jobs, kind of roll their eyes at the thought that they somehow get hired over there. Maybe one or two people will, but doesn't seem likely.
No, it's a challenge, and it's something that, again, if you are an existing staff member of the Utah Athletic Department, like, you just don't necessarily know what that means for you, right? Because there's obviously, there's people who do sort of essential roles, right? But like, will a private equity independent organization care about keeping stats and records the same way that an athletic department might? We don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, we do. We do. We do know the answer to that question. That was rhetorical, what you did. We do know the answer to that question.
Well, and therein lies the challenge, right? There's going to be a lot of things that are normal college athletic stuff that we're going to have to figure out if they have any interest in trying to replicate, or if Utah is just going to kind of live in its own little world in that way.
Having worked for private equity 10 or 15 years ago, I can tell you from experience, the first thing they care about is getting their bonuses. So that doesn't mean making money. That means making gobs of money so they can get a bonus.
You owned a private equity company, didn't you?
I did not.
Oh.
I definitely did not.
That's right. You're your brother.
This is a program, part of the program where PK lies to entertain himself, Shehan, in case you didn't know. You usually get
can I hold $1?
PK.
If you got a few more lying around, I'll happily take some.
Well, we'll be down there broadcasting in Plano or Frisco next month, so we'll throw you some cash.
Hey, we got Texans pronouncing it Plano and Plano. Which is it?
It's Plano. It's Plano. It's
Plano.
It's Plano.
Yeah, I know it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, got that sorted
But
out.
it's Frisco where we're going to be.
Frisco. Sean, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for coming in and talking a little Big 12 football. And it's about a month to media days now, so away we go.
Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Shehan Jeyarajah. Joining us, he is a CBS Sports national college football writer and a regular guest here on the show. We appreciate him coming on.
He'll have the electric lit up sport coat, so you know it's him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he learned, I don't know how he learned to stumble into it or what, but yeah, that's how he rolls into media days and press boxes.
And some guys can get away with it.
Yeah.
There's no way I could. He can.
Confidence. You got to
He
walk
wears
the walk.
he wears it well, I got to admit.
Yep. All right. Well, you can read him, and both PK and I do. CBS Sports. Go to cbssports.com. You can check out his work. He's a prolific writer, PK. He's grinding out stories. I see multiple stories from him on the website on a routine basis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's doing the job, and I know he loves doing it. Talked to him several times, and, being in Texas there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of college football, right?
It's football, and then football, yeah. And then
Yeah.
occasionally, if the Rangers win the World Series, we'll give you some time. If the Mavericks win or the Stars in hockey, we'll give you some time. But
and
it's
then right
football.
back to football,
Yeah.
right? But to your point, because he's surrounded all that football, even if he's covering the Big 12, even if he's not covering one of the G5 leagues nearly as much, he's still paying attention to North Texas. And sure enough, they have a big year, and now they're coaching quarterback at Oklahoma State. So that's why we love to have him on the show to speak to that, because we know he was paying attention.
Well, I think if you're looking at the surprise team, it is right now the favorite is Oklahoma State.
Are they such a surprise team they can't be a surprise team?
Not yet, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about them, but they still have to do it out on the field. And if they do it out on the field, then they deserve all that attention.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you why we're broadcasting live downstairs today instead of up on the second floor. KSLkids.com. If you want to donate right now, go online and help out Primary Children's Hospital and all the kids. They're working with 60,000 people going through their emergency rooms. That's a lot of people going through. We'll get to that next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The all-new Tropical Butterfly Refresher is now at Starbucks. Dive into juicy guava and passion fruit flavors, with mango pineapple popping pearls bursting in every sip. Ice cold, instantly refreshing, and impossible to put down. Made for summer, only at Starbucks.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.